everybody. Welcome back to the Coleman's Theatre at the Rotary Arts Center. I'm your host, Aley Waterman, joined today by the very special guests, Gaylene Buckle, the General Manager of Theatre Newfoundland, TNL, otherwise known as. Thanks for being with us today, Gaylene.
Thanks for inviting me, Aley. It's
Yeah.
really nice to see you.
It's really nice
been
to
way
see you,
too
too.
long.
I know. I feel like I saw you so much when I was little.
Yeah, little
and
girl, I know.
Yeah, hopefully I'm gonna be out at Cowhead a lot more this summer. I got some time
excellent.
off. So.
We've got some great shows in the lineup this year. And that's the last time I saw you. I think it was last year when you and your mom were in Cowhead.
Yeah, we
to
were
see a
out.
show.
I think we were seeing the Joey Smallwood one.
Yes, The Only Living Father.
The Only Living Father, which is so great. I have like a special, not special, but kind of, I'm really fascinated by Joey Smallwood. So when I found out there was a show that was sort of telling the story of Confederation and his history as well. There's a book by what's his name? There's a book that details like a long history of Joey Smallwood in fiction form
Is
as
that
well.
Unrequited Dreams? Is
Yes,
that right?
yeah,
Yes,
Colony
by
of
Wayne
Unrequited
Johnson.
Yeah, Wayne Johnson. So
Yeah.
I read that a few years ago, and then I was like, what a fascinating character. So anyways, yeah, I saw you last summer. It was my first time at that the new theater as well, the Myra Bennett
Yeah, Nurse Myra Bennett, Center for the Performing Arts.
Center for the Performing Arts. Yeah. Absolutely. Just if anyone who's watching right now and hasn't had the chance to go check it out, it's in Cowhead. Just stunning, like state of the art. Yeah. Absolutely massive.
Massive. And very well equipped from the production end of things, as well as the two stages that we have. Yeah, it's quite a special building.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so there's the main one, right? And then where we saw The Only Living Father, that was kind of behind. Is that attached as well, or is that
Yes, it is. It's all in the same building. It's we've got two stages in the building. That the one you saw The Only Living Father in is called our BMO studio.
Okay.
And it's only 72 seats, so it's a nice, intimate little space. And then our main stage is 178 seats, and that's the Fortis Theatre.
Fortis Theatre, right?
The Fortis Theatre, yeah. So it's, and like I said, right now we're just opening our shows for the season. So we've got one show, we've got two shows opened. The Birds opened on June the 10th, and the SSFE Dinner Theatre, which of course is the show that started it all. And if you think you've seen it before, you haven't seen the refit.
Whoa.
And it's a beautiful, beautiful production, and it's a lovely meal. We have our own kitchen facilities now, so it's all locally sourced beef and fish, and we've got vegetarian meal, and we've got rhubarb for dessert, and there's all sorts of wonderful meal options there. And it's just the show, like I said, the Effie is what we started the festival with. Actually, it came before the festival in 1995. And it's still playing, and it's still playing till sellout houses.
Well, that's the thing, right?
Night. Oh yeah, and really, it's the reason that we went that we decided we needed a new theater, because of course we'd been doing the Effie for 24 years at the Shallow Bay Motel Conference Room, which had 97 seats was the maximum we could get in there, and we were turning away more people than we were seating some years. So it was like, oh my gosh, you only get one crack. 90% of the people who come to the Gors Morne Theatre Festival are tourists, and whether they're tourists from Corner Brook or St. John's or Australia, they're tourists, so they only have a limited number of nights in the town. Really? So, of course, when you turn them away, you're not going to get them back, right?
No, it's true.
So now we've got this big, beautiful space that, we can pretty much seat them all. I think it'll be a while before we're turning away people again.
I hope so. Yeah, I remember going to the Effie many times. This is the other thing, right? It happens every week, right? Or it happens quite often.
Yeah.
So the fact that it's selling out that much, and it's not just something that happens one weekend or something like that. I mean, it's a great show. I'm hoping to get back to see it again this summer.
Yeah.
But yeah, the dinner theater portion, I remember kind of the old theater, and everyone's kind of packed in there together, and it was really intimate. I could see how that one's just kind of created a legacy.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, there's still some rusted remains of the Ethy wreck on the shores down by Sally's Cove. It's, getting less and less every year, but you can still, so that's, it's a story of the coast and you can still go down to the beach and see the rusted wrecks from 1919. So it's really cool that
Wow.
you can, you go see the show and then you can go see the actual wreck.
Totally, yeah.
Yeah, so it's very much a part of the coast and a part of Cowhead and who we are as a people. And I get, shipwrecks. It's the thing in Newfoundland, Labrador, and with the Ethy, nobody died.
Right.
I
which
will
is
tell you that. Yeah,
a really
nobody
great.
died. So it's if there's any such thing as a good shipwreck story, the Ethy is probably it.
The most optimistic shipwreck story we're
Yeah,
gonna find.
that's right.
Yeah.
Everyone lived. Thank
And
goodness.
it's so delightful too. It's like a very celebratory kind of energetic show. From what I remember, I'll definitely come see it again.
Yeah.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about, before we get into sort of some specifics about the programming this summer, can you tell us a bit about kind of the history of TNL, where you guys are now, and sort of the connection? I know that it's mostly split between Corner Brook and Cowhead, sort of in terms of programming. So yeah, if you want to just give us a little breakdown.
Sure. Well, TNL, I mean, we're in our 43rd year.
No way. Whoa.
43 years,
Wow.
yes.
Cool.
And of course, in Corner Brook is where it started back in 1979. Started by Maxima Zumdar, who had started the Stephenville Theatre Festival the summer before, and then started the Theatre Newfoundland Labrador in Corner Brook as the winter semester. So when I started, semester I was going to say, go back to school. But when I started, I've been working with TNL since 1995.
Yeah.
And when I started with the company, it was a September to May operation.
Okay.
So we used to do, all of our shows. We'd do 4 or 5 professional shows at the Arts and Culture Centre, and then we'd have a big community musical every year at the Arts and Culture Centre. So then in 1995 was when we were approached by Ed English, who at the time worked with the Department of Tourism.
Yeah.
And he approached us on behalf of Daryl House, owner of the Shallow Bay Motel, and asked about the possibility of doing a dinner theatre in Cowhead.
Cool.
So that year, we happened to have Varick Grimes, who had just graduated from Grenfell theater program, and he was working with us as artistic associate. And that summer, we had a group of 7 students from Grenfell working with us, producing shows in Corner Brook, creating shows. Raspberries and Tin Milk was the show that was produced in Corner Brook, and it was being played at nursing homes and school, children's play groups and that sort of thing. So they had just finished that when we were approached by Ed English about doing a dinner theatre. So of course the group went to work and wrote the play with Shane Ellis Coates being the lead writer on the wreck of the SS Ethy, whose captain happened to be Ed English,
Oh.
grandfather of Ed English, who had approached us.
Oh my goodness! Wow.
So it was a very cool story. So we took it up to Cowhead for 2 nights in August that year in 1995 and sold out 2 nights. So that fall, Varick was still with us, of course, as artistic associate. So he and Jerry Etienne was the artistic director at the time. So we decided, you know what, there's something like, here we are in Corner Brook. At that point, we didn't have a great audience in Corner Brook, and we were actually losing quite a bit of money every show we did. Grenfell Theatre had just come on stream. Jerry was very much involved in that. And like all of these students, all of these graduates, acting and technical graduates were coming out of Grenfell. And we thought, wow, what an opportunity to start something in Cowhead or in Gors Morne.
Yeah.
We were looking at Gors Morne in general, where you got, at that time they were saying 125,000 visitors a year. And, there was lots of hiking and kayaking and that sort of thing. But once the sun went down, there was nothing for people to do. So, of course, we went about, did community meetings and to garner some interest. And sure enough, and of course, Cowhead was the place that seemed to have the most interest. So the next year we started the festival. And that year, oh my God, we had 4 plays. It was a 8-week season, took in a box office of $11,000. We seated 1,400 people.
Wow.
And here we are 27 years later with a $10.5 million Nurse Meyer Bennett Center for the Performing Arts in Cowhead. So it's
Going
you know,
strong.
and the people are coming. And you know, it was our idea that that the festival should be that extension of that authentic vacation that people were coming to Newfoundland for. So while we tell stories, you know, we produce plays from around the world at times, like The Birds this summer by Conor McPherson, a Irish playwright. It's still very much, you know, if you've ever been to Cowhead, you know, there's lots of birds around. And the time that we're living in where, you know, when we're so afraid of what's happening outside, it's a very good play, I think, for Cowhead. But a lot of the plays, we create a lot of our own works in Cowhead, and everything we do there is either of or about or the community can relate to.
Right. There's a place element sort of in the mandate itself.
That's right.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not necessarily written by us or about Newfoundland and Labrador, but it's certainly something that has relevance to who we are.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's great. And I think that also just the feeling of being in Cowhead and having this bustling community. Like, I've never met people busier than the people who live in Cowhead, especially in the summer. Like, it's such a small community, but it's so vibrant. Yeah.
It really is, you know. And like this year, we have 52 people on contract. And, you know, that's more than 10% of the population of Cowhead. Cowhead has,
Like
you know,
400
500 or
something.
less.
Yeah.
And yeah, we've got 52 people working, and 21 of those are actually from that region, which we're very, very happy about. And,
That's cool.
you know, so it's not only, there's that wonderful cultural and social thing that we're doing, but there's also very much an economic benefit, too, to the whole region. And in this day and age, that's a very good thing for rural Newfoundland and Labrador.
Oh my God, of course, yeah.
Any community could use a little boost. I know when we first started there, Jeff Pitcher, our artistic director now, and he's been with us since 2000, used to say we were the new fish plant in town.
Oh, wow,
you know?
yeah.
And it kind of feels that way because we're engaging an awful lot of people and bringing life to the community and
Totally.
very much a part of the community, and the community is very much a part of us, and especially now with this building that's right in the center of town. That's, you know, it's a TNL building, and we've raised all of the money through the federal and provincial government and $3.5 million from private sector funding to build the building. But now it's there in Cowhead, not only for our use but for the community's use and for the region and for the province, really, you know. So
Yeah, it's a wonderful resource and just such a, just even like to see it, it's just, you can tell how much history and how much energy has gone into keeping the theater scene alive and thriving, like just really thriving out there. So, I mean, like, huge kudos to you guys for that. It's so cool. I mean, I used to, as you know, my parents had a place up there in the summer, so we were up there like, you know, half the summer every year. And as a kid, I totally took it for granted because I was just like, oh yeah, it's this small town with the ocean that also has this really vibrant theater community. I didn't think about what an anomaly that was, because it's true, you have kind of the elements of like this small community, and then there's karaoke at the
pub, Nettie, at Shell Bay Motel, Nettie's Pub, karaoke every Friday night, and probably more now.
Yeah, total, like, just great time. And then you have these world-class pieces of entertainment, theater, music. There's sometimes a musical element as well, right?
We actually are developing our very first ever musical.
Oh, cool.
For next year, and it's called Jack and the Whale.
Nice.
And the lyricist, Kevin Blackmore, is actually doing the music and lyrics for the show, and Jeff Pitcher is writing the book for it.
Cool.
So we've been developing that for the past, goodness, I guess we're into our second year. We're into our second, if not third year, of the development of that piece. And this summer, we'll be doing a 2-week workshop in August of the piece where the music and the story comes together. And then we're hoping to have it on stage next summer. So that's our very
Ooh.
first musical.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so fun.
And, being developed by some of the greats, with Kevin Blackmore involved. Wow.
Jeez Louise.
The lyrics, it's beautiful. And Jeff Pitcher, and they're working so wonderfully together. And so we'll have a little team of musicians there this summer along with our actors to bring the piece to that next level.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's so nice. I'll definitely check that one out.
Yeah.
Tell
But we
us-
do like Nettie Norris night is a
Yeah,
music
there's a music night
and then and that's been with us since the beginning of time. But it's evolved. I mean, it started off being more of an improv night, and then I went to very, very traditional Newfoundland music, and it's gone through every year. This year, there's only 3 performers in the show. Alison Crow and Keelan Purchase and Rosie Callahan, who's coming to us for the first time. She's from Montreal.
Oh, nice.
And it's Newfoundland music from then and now. Like it's a range of Newfoundland music that's going to be featured in our Nettie Norris this year.
Oh, cool. That's
Yeah.
great. Yeah, that's a super fun night too. Just really relax, kind of.
Oh yeah.
Everyone sits back, grabs a
And
drink,
sing
takes
along.
it in. Yeah, exactly. Can you tell us a bit more about? I read about a little bit about the birds. So not to be mistaken for Hitchcock's The Birds, right?
Well, it's based on the same short story
Okay. Yeah. that's what I
by
was
Daphne
wondering.
du Maurier.
Yeah.
But and I can tell you that I am terrified of birds.
Yeah.
And it was because when I was a child, it was one of the first movies I ever saw was The Birds.
Scary movie.
On our black and white TV that was covered in snow, and it was covered in snow as in TVs that were it wasn't actually snow.
Yeah.
But anyway, and the birds, and it terrified me for birds. I've got a lifelong fear since then. So this play by Conor McPherson is based on the same short story by Daphne du Maurier, but it's much closer to the short story
Okay.
than the movie.
Right.
The movie, there was very much, it was very much dramatized in that way. Whereas this story, yes, the birds are there, and these people are holed up in this house, and because they can't get out because the birds are after, making away with most everyone. But it's goes well deeper than that. Like any good thriller and drama, it's about their own personal, them confronting their own personal darkness and
Right.
stories. So it's yeah.
It's a psychological.
It's
element.
very much a psychological type thriller, and you can still hear the birds, and just about every night now when the door opens after the show and you open up, there's birds waiting outside to greet you.
Come outside. And you're like,
Yeah, and one audience member said a couple of nights ago when they left and there were birds, there was a crow and a gull waiting for them, and they said, "Do you plan that? Like, was that actually planned?"
planned. You're like, we can't
No, it's
really
counted.
choreograph the birds yet
No.
at this point. Yeah, I mean, I saw the movie too when I was younger, and it really freaked me out. And I was reading about this play, and I was like, I didn't realize actually the short story had been, the Hitchcock film had been based on the story. But I was like, oh, it reads a little bit like that movie, but with a very different kind of focus.
Yeah.
So that should be a really fun one to.
Oh,
I mean,
it's fun.
spooky
It's-
fun.
Yeah, and it's getting, some people have just absolutely love it. And it's in our small studio space.
Oh,
so
cool.
you feel very claustrophobic in there, right? And like every now and again you hear the birds, what's happening outside, and you get to know the dark, deep things that's happening within the walls.
Yeah.
It's and like theater, it's not for everyone. It's
Yeah.
not, we've had people saying, "I don't know what that's all about."
Yeah, that's different.
And we've had people, I gotta say, there's a few F words. The F word is dropped a few times in that play.
Okay.
But but then for every person that have said, "Oh my," like too many of the F words or too much of the darkness, there's another 10 or 12 or 20 saying, "Oh my God, that's great. I just absolutely love that." So it's, art is subjective, as we all know,
course, yeah.
and it's our job. And the play is done beautifully. I mean, the acting by, we've got Alison Crow is in that one, Emma Anderson,
Oh, cool.
Brandon Carabine, and John Dart.
Nice.
So those are the 4 actors in that play, and it's oh god, it's a stunning performance. And it was directed by Barry Grimes,
Oh, nice.
who directed, who was our very first artistic director of the Gors Morne Theatre Festival. So it's great having him back this season to direct that play. And then, we had the sound design by Brian Kenny of St. John's,
Cool.
and the lighting design by Kirsten Watt, and the set design by Vicky Marston. So a lot of familiar names to people who come to our theater and people who are in theater in this province, in this city. So, but it's a wonderful show.
That's awesome. So that's one of the newer ones.
Yeah.
Also, there's one called Jewel, correct?
Jewel, yes.
Yes. Is that one's new as well?
Jewel is new to us.
Yes.
Yeah, but it was a play written. It's by Joan McLeod, and it was written back in the 1980s.
Okay.
I think it was 84, and it's actually like that. It's a play. This is the 40th anniversary of the Ocean Ranger disaster.
Yeah.
And Jewel is a one-woman show. And again, this year it's featuring Alison Crowe.
Cool.
And it's a woman who is facing her first Valentine's alone after her husband was lost on the Ocean Ranger.
Right.
So there's a lot of heart and emotion and a lot of comedy in the play as well, but it's a beautiful, and we just thought, oh my goodness, we couldn't let this anniversary year pass without commemorating somehow the wreck, which was such a disaster in Newfoundland and Labrador. And this play just seemed to be the perfect choice to have that commemoration.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, I was reading a bit about it, and it's like sort of the fact that it's got this kind of Valentine's Day kind of, maybe not focus. I haven't seen it yet, but it's the romance is sort of also at the forefront of the tragedy, I think.
Yeah, because of course it was on Valentine's Day that the Ocean Ranger sank. So it was the following year that this woman had moved to Alberta. Anyway, it's a beautiful show. We've got Nicole Russo coming out from St. John's, so again, who people here will know very well, I'm sure, to direct that play. And we're very excited. And like I said, it's starring Alison Crowe.
Awesome.
Yeah.
When does that? So these are kind of staggered through the summer,
Yes.
right? Yeah. Okay.
So that one opens on July 23rd.
Okay.
And before that, so next week, so that one opens July 23rd. We'll go back. And Nettie Norris opens on July 7th. Mm-hmm. And on July 1st, get ready for the Hids. It's Ed and Ed's new B&B.
Hidden Head.
Ed and Ed's new B&B, and that's written by Jeff Fitcher. Jeff has been writing Ed and Ed stories for many, many, many years, and we've produced a number of Jeff's Ed and Ed stories.
And they're funny. That's a real
it's
comedy.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
It's a comedy. This is Ed and Ed is setting up a new B&B in Cowhead.
Oh my God. Love
Ed and Ed in Cowhead. So that's opening on July 1st, and it's going to be brilliant. It's already just reading the script. We haven't opened yet, but it's very funny.
Yeah,
It's
I bet.
very, very
They're
funny.
always really.
Yeah.
I think the last one I saw was Ed and Ed Trapped or something.
Yes,
that was
Ed and
years
Ed
ago.
Trap, that was years ago. Yeah, and we had Ed and Ed do Florida. Yeah.
Cute.
It's a great show, and I'm looking forward to it. And I think that's and that one is going to be playing on our main stage. Like this year, we've got Ed and Ed's new B&B and the Effie are the only 2 plays playing in the Fortis Theatre.
Right.
And they'll each be playing 3 nights a week. And in the studio, the BMO studio, we'll have, that'll be The Birds, Nettie Norris, Jewel. And then on August 13th, we're opening The Only Living Father again. We're bringing back Colin Furlong and The Only Living Father.
Which is delightful, yeah.
It's a wonderful play. And we decided to bring that back at that time, because last year, oh my gosh, like I said, that was the only play we had in the small space last year. And the most we could get in there was 15 people with all the bubbling. And so this year, and we turned away so many people. Oh my
sad.
God, people were, because we, the bubbling 72 seats we had, but we could only, depending on bubbling, because at that time, like the actor had to be 12 feet from the closest audience member, and then audience bubbles had to be 6 feet apart. So it was, we turned away a lot of people. So we decided to bring it back, and we're actually opening it on the same night that we're doing our, finally, after 3 years, doing our grand celebration of the Nurse Myra Bennett Centre for the Performing Arts. So the
Oh, nice.
official opening as such.
Big old party.
So, and we'll be having, of course, like Brian Tobin was the chair of that campaign, and of course, very much a former premier of Newfoundland and Labrador and MP, and we'll have other government officials there as well, provincial, federal, and municipal.
Cool.
And then we'll have a lot of our major donors, like the Basil Dobbin Family Foundation. Family members will be there, and Fortis, and there's a Kruger. Yeah, there's a whole
Big
slew
old
of people.
party.
So it's going to be a big old party, and we thought it would be very fitting to open The Only Living Father, have that on stage before we go into the actual, greetings and all that sort of thing.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, so I think that's going to be great. And then this summer, that then rounds out that's our 6 plays. So all of our shows, except for The Only Living Father and Jewel, will close by Labor Day weekend. And then we'll keep The Only Living Father and Jewel, keeping that playing, alternate nights right up until October 2nd.
Cool.
So yeah, that's the longest season we've ever had in Cowhead.
It's going to be so nice, like, following sort of all the limitations of COVID to have a bit more of a maybe organic sort of feeling to the community, because
it's going to be so nice. And already, like, playing The Birds, and it's played to sold-out audiences a few times this summer already, and it's like to see that space full. It's lovely.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. I mean, I can't wait to get up there. I know Mom's heading up next weekend. I'm going to, try and get up intermittently throughout the summer, because it's my first summer where I have a lot of time off this summer, which is never the case. So really excited to sort of just like explore the West Coast a bit more, because, like when I was younger, I was just kind of following my parents around everywhere. But this summer, very intentionally, I'm like, I'm going to go see this play in Cowhead. If I can get tickets, going to go see this play, spend some time out there. It's on the, it's on the water. It's a beautiful town. And just
there's going to be beach yoga this year, by the way. Ooh, on Shallow Bay Beach. Rhoda Reardon, who happens to be one of TNL's board members, who's got a home in Cowhead, but she's from Burlington, Ontario, and she's starting beach yoga at the Shallow Bay Beach. So check.
Does she know how quickly the tide comes in?
Right. Oh yeah. Actually, it's so funny because a couple of weeks ago we were on a fund development call with somebody, and she asked him to check on the tides in Cowhead, so she could determine the best time to do her beach yoga. Yeah.
Cool.
That's gonna be cool.
That sounds fun. Yeah. So other than that, I mean, I know that so there's a focus on youth theater in Corner Brook. That you guys have a TNL program for youth age 6 to 16?
6 to 18.
6 to 18.
Yeah.
Right.
Sarah McDonald Youth Theater Program.
Yeah. So maybe before we sign off today, we can just talk a little bit about that and see if anyone's listening and they're like, oh, I want my kid to get involved in
Absolutely.
this.
Yeah. So this youth theater has been part of TNL since its beginning days.
Yeah.
And excuse me. And it's carried on, and it's carried on in different forms. And then, Sarah McDonald became the artistic associate in charge of youth theater in 2003. And then at that time, youth theater was just it was just really classes, and probably one little performance. And then she brought in some other things like the Stagehead Academy for the summer months for people who were interested in pursuing careers in theater. And then we do a festival of youth every year. And so, that's carried on, all of those years. And with COVID, of course, there was some, for the past few years, we were doing a show. We'd do a dinner theater at the during Winter Carnival, a pizza dinner theater, and then of course we do a year-end production. The last one we did was Scope and Name Sam.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, because before the pandemic hit.
Is that Al Pittman?
Was yes,
Yeah.
Well, Ben Pittman wrote it based on Al's short story,
Right.
Al's book. But his nephew Ben Pittman, actually wrote the play.
Oh, cool. That's so nice.
So, but youth theater, we have 2 semesters. It goes from September to December,
Yeah.
and the second semester goes from January to March, April, and typically we'll have a year-end production at the end of the session. Now, the productions are not part of the youth theater classes,
Right.
but any child who's in our youth theater has the ability, we'll find a role for them in the productions during the year. So it's a great program, and like I said, we'll be starting now again in August, starting to ramp that up and get word out about the upcoming September semester.
Cool.
And it's a great place for children to, I mean, gosh, I could tell you so many wonderful stories about teenagers who were lost and then they were found.
Yeah.
And then they found themselves in our youth theater program and became buddies, and children who were very, very shy that all of a sudden they're like
out of their shells.
they're out of their shells. And, youth theater is very much about team building. It's not about creating stars.
Yeah.
It's about creating confidence. And I remember Sarah's motto was always, it's about the art in you, not you in the art.
Oh, that's nice.
And that's a great motto because I could go to theaters pretty much anywhere in Canada and see one of our youth theater alumni in a show. Like, it's amazing.
That's so cool.
Because they become not only, and some of them have come on and gone the circle and become professional artists, and amazingly so. And we have quite a few of them in Cowhead this summer as professional artists, and have had for many years. People from our youth theater that have gone on and done Grenfell or some other theater program, and then come back and been part of our professional season.
Mm-hmm.
But it's about developing a love for the art. For the art of theater,
Absolutely.
And so like, we're looking forward to getting back to that in the fall. And otherwise, in Corner Brook, we've always been, Corner Brook has been home base, obviously, and usually out of here, again, pre-pandemic times, we had gotten into pretty regular touring.
Yes.
Touring our plays that we're developing in Cowhead and touring them, to everywhere from, rural Newfoundland to England, Scotland, across Canada. And we've got a play now, actually, before the pandemic. The 17 Men was one of the last plays we did in Cowhead, and it's about the men from the region who had served in World War I.
Okay.
And it's a beautiful 4-man play, and that's supposed to be. We've been planning to tour that since 2009, but of course that hasn't happened.
Yeah.
But I think once touring is, we're feeling safe and comfortable about touring again, I think,
It'll
we'll
be
be
back
looking
once
at
the
bringing
risk
that
is
one.
sort of mitigated, because you don't want to have the whole thing planned and then bam, it's canceled.
Oh my gosh!
See
And
that so much.
and when we tour, when TNL tours, whether it's Newfoundland or England or somewhere else in Canada, we like to tour the small rural communities.
Totally.
Because we're a rural-based theater, and we just feel like, so we're not looking for the big stages. So it's, you're hopping from here to here to here to here, and it's in communities and a lot of rural communities, whether it's here or some other part of the world, have a very aging population, So it's a time when you just want to be, and you don't want to get on tour somewhere and then one of your actors gets sick, and
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's exciting. I can't wait to see kind of, what emerges through that. And also, I mean, I took TNL as a kid, and Megan Greeley was in my class. And look at, how far she's gone now.
Exactly.
Those are some of the sort of origin points, jumping off points for so much talent.
Absolutely. Well, look where Aley Waterman is now.
I was actually the worst actor. Maybe I would always get cast as like a tree or like something very minimal lines, because I just could not remember lines.
But you're a superb performer.
Oh, thank you. That's sweet. Yeah, and maybe, some of that came through those experiences.
Absolutely.
It was a great time.
I did want to mention the other thing that we are doing. This is our second year this year, and I know we're probably going over time, Aley. told
Oh
you I
yeah,
talk
we'll
way
wrap
too
her up
much.
soon, but please go ahead.
Yeah,
Yeah. continue.
it's our Sharing Perspectives Festival.
Yes, that's the Indigenous
The
festival.
Indigenous Festival. So we started that last summer, and we contracted Ivan White
Yes.
as the curator, and so we're doing that. And we had a beautiful weekend in Cowhead again. Very small numbers because of we're in pandemic times, but we had sharing circles, we had performances, we had workshops. It was just a beautiful, beautiful weekend, and we're doing that again this year, but we're doing it just after Labor Day.
Okay.
So we're doing it the 5th and 6th. 5th and 6th, 6th and 7th. Anyway, 5th, 6th, and 7th is the span that we're doing our Sharing Perspectives Festival in Cowhead.
And anyone can sign up for that, or
Well, we've contracted Ivan again to curate.
Yeah.
So, but anybody can come. Like,
Oh, that's what I mean, like
for
attend.
audience members. And again, we're putting together the sessions now and the performances and that sort of thing.
Cool.
But yeah, it's open to the public, and we'd love to see more and more people there. It was a beautiful experience last year. Just at the sharing circles. Oh my goodness, it's just it's such a wonderful, when you feel completely safe to just sit around and talk. It's a very, very. So we're really looking forward to that continuing to grow over the years, and yeah.
That sounds delightful. Yeah, I noticed that on the program. So yeah, and if anyone wants to come out to that, they absolutely should. And just sort of to wrap it up here, there's all of this is available online, right? The schedule's all posted now,
It is.
right? So they can just go to
www.theatrenewfoundland.com.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Gaylene. I really
Thank
enjoyed
you,
talking to
Aley.
today.
Nice seeing you.
Yeah, nice seeing you too. And thanks for tuning in.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.